Hello, hello. Let's see. Let me make sure. Okay. All right, everyone. Hello. Happy Monday to you, and welcome to Mondays with Meg, a great way to start your week by sharing mastery tools for intentional living. And so here's my question to you. How good are you at loving yourself? Hi, Kelly. How good are you at loving yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not so great, and 10 being amazing? What is it? Think about it. Put it in the comments below if you'd like. So I'm so happy you're here today, and what I'd love to unpackage today is this idea of intentionally loving ourselves. And I know it sounds cliche, but every conversation I have with people, with clients regarding their lives, conflict, their goals, their dreams, change, transformation, it all begins and ends with loving ourselves. So, and I think that when we love ourselves, we become the type of person who finds it easy to love other people. So really, you become really good at loving. Hi, Deborah. Glad you guys are joining. All right, so I have a group coaching program here in Milwaukee that unfortunately is coming to an end next week, but no worries, I'm starting a new one in January. But one of the participants was talking about this idea of embodying self-love. And when we embody self-love, we're able to achieve the things that we want to achieve in our life. But oftentimes, that embodiment of self-love is very difficult when we become stuck in that comfort zone, that familiar zone. And when we stay in that space, it might be familiar, but not really all that fun. When we stay in that place, we really block any sort of change that we want in our lives. So how do we bust out of that space, that familiar zone? I truly believe, from personal experience and from the people that I work with, the number one thing that helps us bust out of that familiar zone is courage. It is. I think it takes courage to love ourselves more than our fears, to love ourselves more than our desire, to feel safe and secure in habits or situations that really aren't the best for us. So stepping into that courageous part of ourselves can sometimes be scary, really scary. So it takes courage to look within. And loving ourselves can come in so many different packages. It can be the way we speak to ourselves, the people that we hang out with, the food we eat, the activities we participate in. So I had a conversation recently with, hi, thanks for, hi, Deborah. Hi, Kelly. Okay. Hey, Carrie. Okay, so I had a conversation recently with a good friend of mine from, I've been friends with her forever. And she not only looks amazing, she went through this physical transformation, but she looks amazing, but she feels amazing. And she's doing wonderful things with her work. And I asked her, listen, what is the secret to your success? Like, give me the secret sauce here. Did you go gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, keto, right? We were talking about the physical transformation part. And she laughed and she said, oh, no, that would all drive me crazy. What it was is that she really had the courage to address certain issues within herself. And so when she went there, when she had the courage to go there, everything shifted with ease. And I love that. I love that. It just like, I feel lighter even talking about it. So when she was able to break out of that mode, everything shifted and she started to love herself more, from what she was putting into her body, how she spent her time, and the work that she's here to do in this life. So, and I think it's true of everything. Any kind of change that we want to see in our life begins with the courage to look within. And until we sit with ourselves and really look at ourselves with curiosity rather than judgment, I think that it's like we open up that doorway into this idea of intentionally loving ourselves. Sound good? Okay, so if you're just hopping on the Facebook Live, I had a question for you. How good are you at loving yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being not so great and 10 being awesome. And why is that? What's holding you back? Think about that. So let's look at some mastery tools. I call them mastery tools or solutions to start loving yourself more right away, right today. So they're super easy. I recommend you do them in the morning, but we can do them together now on the call. And they really set the tone for the day. Number 1, intention for the day. When your eyes open up, ask yourself, what is one thing that I can do to love myself today? It might be something as simple as getting a pedicure. It might be calling a friend for support. It might be going on a walk instead of watching TV. But what's one thing that you can do to love yourself more? Maybe it's speaking your truth to someone where your feelings might have been hurt or there's a little bit of assumptions being made on your part. So I'm going to love myself by speaking my truth and clearing the air with this person. It might be staying in your lane. I love this one. It's just, I'm going to love myself today by staying in my lane and staying away from all the drama and the chaos around me because I don't know that stuff. And you can really carry this throughout your day. You can set an alarm on your phone to go off as a cue to ask yourself, how am I doing so far? Is how I am living today, is that aligned with loving myself, right? You can use this at work meetings when you before you walk into the meeting. What's my intention today? When you have coffee with a friend, what's my intention for this time? When you go work out, what's my intention? And how can I bring love for myself and love for the other person into this experience? Okay, so one other thing about this intention of how good can I love myself today or what can I do for myself today, that would be an act of self-love. When you're making choices throughout the day of how you spend your time or what you're putting into your body or any choice that you make, ask yourself, if I loved myself on a 10, on that scale of 1 to 10, what choice would I make? Okay? All right, are we ready for number 2? Okay, hi Karen. Hi, Eric. Oh, I'm glad you like the courage part, Carrie. All right, number 2, mirror work. I'm sure some of you have heard of this, but if you haven't, it's amazing. Louise Hay, I don't know if you know her, but check her out. She was and is an amazing soul. She recently passed over, but has left such a legacy with her publishing company and Hay House Radio and just all the lives that she touched. And she's got a great book that my dear friend Jane, hello Jane, I hope you watch this at some point. My friend and colleague Jane up in Canada sent me this book. It's called Life Loves You. And in this book, she talks, it's 7 spiritual practices to heal your life. But in this book, she talks about mirror work. And so in a nutshell, mirror work is essentially getting up in the morning and taking a few minutes, looking at yourself eyeball to eyeball in the mirror and saying, I love you. I love you. And life loves you, and a bunch of other mantras that she has, but just a few minutes every morning. And it's so profound. I can't stress the impact that this work has. I've tried it, my clients have tried it, and it's a bit uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie. At first, when you're looking at yourself, you feel a little goofy. At first you feel goofy, and then it can kind of be emotional, and then it can kind of be a little scary, because what happens is a lot of feelings start bubbling up, right? When we're alone with ourselves. A lot of judgments might start coming up too. It's like, wait a minute, do I really love myself? And if I do, what does that mean? If I unconditionally love myself, that means I have to let go. I have to let go of judgments of myself. I have to let go of any shame, regret, guilt, right? I have to forgive myself. So I think a lot of times it's so much easier to forgive other people and to tell other people we love them. I don't know about you, but I find it so easy to express myself to other people, to forgive them, once the discussion is had. But I find it very difficult in my life to forgive myself. I have found it very difficult. And at times it can still be a struggle. I think it's just an ongoing process. But if we can't forgive ourselves, how can we love ourselves? So I once took an assessment. It's one that we work with clients, and it puts you on a scale of personality characteristics with other people, like self-judgment, criticism, are you extrovert? How much of an introvert are you? And let me tell you, this was about 4 or 5 years ago. I scored so high. I think it was like a 99.9% on self-criticism. And boy, that was a huge wake-up call for me. Huge. And so once I had that awareness, I started working on it. And fortunately, I took it a few years ago, and I came down closer to the norm, but it's one of my bugaboos that I work on. So it all starts with awareness of how you treat yourself and forgive yourself. So when you're looking in the mirror and you're telling yourself, I love you, it can be difficult. But suddenly you realize, wait a minute, maybe I don't really love myself. So what does that mean for me? Wow, this might be a core issue. Maybe that's why I'm not achieving this goal or that goal. All right. So when you do something like mirror work, it's something interesting happens. You notice another book I want to share with you guys. You notice throughout the day what Jeff Foster, he's the author of The Deepest Acceptance. You start to notice through the day little things. He calls them acts of self-violence. I know that's a little radical, but I think it's so true. Little acts of self-violence that you put upon yourself. And they're very, very subtle. They might be in the way you talk to yourself. For example, I had dinner with a good friend of mine recently, and she said that she noticed these little subtle acts of violence towards herself. She had organized her home, and she found herself saying, well, you finally did that. And there was something very subtle in the word finally, like there was this judgment. Instead of saying, wow, you did it. Don't you feel great that you got organized? So how often do we do that? We're so hard on ourselves. Can you imagine living with someone or being a friend with someone that you saw every day who spoke to us like, well, you finally got that done, and you finally, got a new job, and you finally lost some weight, and you're finally getting your stuff together. It would be horrible, but we do it to ourselves. We do it to ourselves on a regular basis, and that can so wear us down. It can wear us down, and so mirror work is so powerful because not only does it forces us to go within, but it also is a great way to start our day, and it will allow us to pay attention to those times throughout the day where we're really not so nice to each other. Oh, good, we've got a few more people. Hi, Kathleen and Lola and Peter. And Glenn. All right, so there you go. I'm sorry that some of you joined on late, but I'm so happy that you showed up and that you were here with me today. And if this idea of intentionally loving yourself is too much, sometimes I work with clients where they're like, whoa, like love myself, what does that mean? So if that's too much for you to start with, I recommend taking baby steps, just baby steps to start practicing subtle acts of self-care, kindness towards yourself each day. Another cliche is like Rome wasn't built in a day. And so self-love, I think, is a continual process. I don't think there's really any destination, don't you think? It's simply just taking steps each day to consciously choose to be awake and intentional with our lives. So if you didn't get your free gift last week, message me because I love it. It's a short embodiment meditation that will allow you to really live intentionally. It's like a 4 to 5 minute meditation I created for my group coaching program, and they loved it. So I put it together for a free gift. Just message me if you want it. And I'll see you next week. And remember, if no one told you today, and if you didn't do your mirror work, you're amazing and you're beautiful. So go out and share your gifts with the world because they need you and they need them. I'll see you next week.